make it right. 'Cause I need your arms around me every night. To me.
Well, it is the 8th day of the 8th month. The time now in Joburg, 8 p.m. In London, 7 p.m. And right here in Nairobi, it is 9 p.m. East African time. Good evening. My name is Mboya. Tonight, we've lined up lots of stories for you on the local front, in the business segment, and also later on in sports, and also scorecard coming a little later on. O'Brien whispers to me on the corridors that the eye is on the ball. O'Brien.
That's what you call the good stuff. Tonight on the scorecard, our eyes are going to be on your iris. That's right. Remember the WorldCoin saga and the issues around data privacy? So we want to revisit that and ask ourselves, what is in your iris? And what does your iris say about you? Is it a unique identifier the world over? And by giving out this critical data, what are you doing to yourself? That conversation is coming up right here on KBC Channel 1. It's about 10 o'clock. So tonight, you don't want to miss out on this conversation.
That's right. But here's the deal. Let us look at the executive summary of this bulletin that we packaged for you tonight, starting right now with our top stories.
Tumekubaliana na wale na it is not negotiable ya kwamba Kenya haina nafasi ya vita na fujo na kuharibu mali na kuharibu biashara.
President Ruto roots for a violence-free Kenya, says he will not allow what he terms opposition-engineered violence to rock the country anymore.
They have settled on Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, to head the legal and technical team to the talks.
Azimio's back office team, the opposition picks Jeremiah Kioni to head the newly created legal and technical team to boost its dialogue side. A 74-year-old German national to spend 81 years, believe it or not, in jail for child trafficking and sodomy.
Thank you very much for joining us. Our socials at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle, speak to us, is at Tomboya24. The person in charge of our sign language docket is the ever-smiling Lucy Mwaura. Straight to our top story. President William Ruto says that he will not allow individuals to use violence in pursuit of personal interests. The president, who spoke when he met over 5,000 leaders drawn from 11 counties from Mount Kenya region, ruled out negotiations with the opposition on any issues surrounding the outcome of the elections in the 10-member dialogue committee. J.J. Curia opens our coverage with that report.
Tuesday morning, and over 5,000 delegates started streaming into the Sagana State Lodge for a date with the head of state. The president using the meeting to rally area residents behind his development agenda, calling on them to support the taxation measures proposed in the Finance Act.
kwa sababu watu wa Mlima Kenya ni watu wanaelewa uchumi, ya kwamba uchumi wa taifa letu la Kenya tumeidhibiti. We now have a firm foundation for the economy of our country. Na niwahakikishie ya kwamba we are going to be prudent, we are going to be careful in the management of our resources and in making sure that even as we borrow carefully.
And as the country gears up for the first meeting of the 10-member committee from both sides, the president says he will no longer allow individuals to use violence to pursue personal interests.
Na tumekubaliana na wale, na it is not negotiable, ya kwamba Kenya haina nafasi ya vita na fujo na kuharibu mali na kuharibu biashara na kuchoma barabara na kuharibu mali ya umma. Kenya haina hiyo nafasi tena, na hakuna kiongozi wa jana, wa leo, wa kesho ambaye atatumia vita na violence kuendesha siasa katika taifa letu la Kenya.
The head of state categorical that there will be no talks centered around the outcome of a 2022 general election.
Hata wanatuambia ati tuzungumuze ati mambo ya sijui IBC, ati sijui maneno gani, ati sijui mambo ya inspection, sijui server, sijui nini. Tumewaambia maneno hiyo yote ilimalizika. Ama namna gani?
And as his working tour comes to a close Thursday, the head of state was full of gratitude to locals for overwhelmingly supporting his bid in the elections last year, an act he says set the stage for the end of ethnic politics.
Mumefanya watoto wenu na watoto wa Kenya wengine wengi wajue ya kwamba inawezekana katika taifa letu la Kenya mtoto wa kutoka jamii yeyote, kutoka familia yeyote aweze kufika mahali ambapo hata ndoto kwa kawaida haiwezi kufika.
Mtangoja mwaka 10 for that to happen. It will not happen. Hakuna. Sisi ni watu tumesoma na tunaelewa. Huyu rais anatuelewa. Tena mtu anatupenda, tutakosania nini? Tutakosania nini? Ametuonesha mapenzi, ametuonesha kila kitu, ametufungulia milango, ameteua watu wetu kwa viti ambaye ni ya maana. What problem could be between us and the president? Zero. So nyinyi watu ya magazeti, please stop living in denial and stop trying to create a conflict where there is none.
Since his arrival in the Mount Kenya region on Saturday, the president has maintained his stance that he will not have a handshake between him and the opposition. And in what could further muddy the waters for the 10-member committee, the president has also watered down some of the agenda items lined up by Azimio. The president says that the constitution of the IEBC, the audit of service and the cost of living are off the table. John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Meanwhile, Azimio la Umoja Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga now says that the opposition is ready to engage their counterparts from Kenya Kwanza Alliance in a joint bipartisan talks set for tomorrow, Wednesday, at the Bomas of Kenya. At a briefing by the coalition leaders in Karen, Raila also announced the appointment of besieged Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni as the coalition's head of legal and technical operations in the negotiations. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka will lead the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition team as the National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah takes charge of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance side. Giverson Maina puts that story in perspective.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga on Tuesday reiterated the coalition's unwavering commitment in the bipartisan talks between the government and the opposition, slated for Tuesday at the Bomas of Kenya. Speaking at Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka's residence in Karen, Nairobi, the opposition chief, however, said engaging in the negotiations does not amount to cowardice, but rather an act of strength.
We stand for transparent, above board, and speedy talks guided by decorum, honesty, and respect for the people of Kenya.
The former premier disregarded the notion by a section of leaders that the talks will flop. The opposition also appointed the embattled Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni to lead the Azimio La Umoja Coalition's legal and technical team in the dialogue.
You have tasked our delegation and our technical teams under the able leadership of His Excellency Kalonzo and Kioni to go to these talks with the courage of and open minds.
Top on the Azimio list of issues is cost of living, audit of the 2022 election results, and reconstitution and restructuring of IBC, measures to prevent interference with political parties, and finally government issues, adequate checks and balances. Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka will lead Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Coalition's team, while Majority Leader in the National Assembly Kimani Ichung'wah will lead the Kenya Kwanza Alliance team. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
Now let's go over to Nakuru, where a police officer has been arrested after shooting his colleague to death in unclear circumstance Tuesday morning. Nakuru County Police Commander Samuel Ndanyi said Constable Jackson Konga was arrested after he killed Sergeant Christopher Kimeli. Kasichana Masha.
Police in Nakuru have launched investigations to try and unearth what might have transpired, leading to the killing of Sergeant Christopher Kimeli Tuesday morning by his colleague Constable Jackson Konga. Nakuru County Police Commander Samuel Ndanyi said Konga was immediately disarmed and put into custody after the unfortunate incident. The two were all based at the Rift Valley Regional Dog Section headquarters.
Kimeli was also on duty, but he had actually signed off. He was heading to somewhere to pick his child from a certain school.
Meanwhile, 2 people have been reported dead and several others injured after 2 vehicles collided head-on at Sobia area along the Nakuru-Eldoret Highway. Nakuru County Police Commander Samuel Ndanyi said several other people were injured in the accident that involved a matatu and lorry.
And then we had also several serious injuries. Around 7 were taken to level 5 Nakuru Hospital, and then the bodies were moved to municipal mortuary. We had also some slight injuries of about 4 persons. The cause of accident is also yet to be established.
Elsewhere, preliminary investigations indicate that motorcycle operator illegally ferrying over 3 sacks of charcoal is to blame for the accident that killed the leader of the majority party in Nyamira County Assembly, Elijah Osiemo, on Monday. 2 MCLs who survived the accident that occurred along the Maimayu Narok Road on Monday afternoon narrated how their driver tried to avoid hitting the motorcyclist before the accident occurred.
Tukapatana na pikipiki yenye ilikuwa imepepa makaa. Driver alipojaribu kuikwepa kidogo, nao pia yule mjamaa akashtuka tena, naye pia karudi kwa barabara. Kujaribu tena kuikwepa kabisa, ndiye akagonga makaa yenye alikuwa amebeba, na ilikuwa ni makaa mingi sana. Mimi na driver ndio tulikuwa mbele. Hao wenzangu mwenye alikufa na huyu mwenye ameumia pia sana, wao walikuwa nyuma.
Kasichana Masha, Prime Edition.
Now, a 74-year-old German national has been sentenced to 81 years, 8 decades, and 1 more on top, for trafficking child pornography, performing an indecent act on a minor, recruiting, and also transporting children for purposes of exploitation through fraud. On the same breath, a pastor has been sentenced to 7 decades, 70 years in prison after being found guilty, again, of defiling and sodomizing minors. Details in the Scales of Justice segment.
Appearing before Principal Magistrate Caroline Njagi, Zomashela was sentenced to 81 years behind bars after Milimani locals found him guilty of 6 offenses. The 74-year-old German national received the stiff penalty of 30 years for trafficking and 61 years in the other 5 counts.
In the alternative to count 2, he was convicted of the offense of committing an indecent act on a child. He will serve 15 years imprisonment. Count 3, the same offense of committing an illicit act to the child, he will serve 15 years imprisonment. In count 4, 5, and 6, he had been charged with the offenses of child pornography. He will serve 7 years imprisonment in each count 4, 5, and 6.
In the same court, the principal magistrate incarcerated James Njuguna for 70 years after she found him culpable of defiling and sodomizing minors.
The sentences will run concurrently, right of appeal 14 days, and the accused person will be entered into the convicted sexual offences register. The surety is discharged.
He was sentenced to 50 years and 20 years respectively, which will run concurrently. Ruth Homboy for Prime Edition.
NHIF on the spot once again. We will tell you why when we come back after this first break on Prime Edition. Stay with us.
There are times when reason becomes unclear in the heart and forbidden loves come to life. Isabel Montalban will now convert paradise into a land of the wild. She knows her heart is true to one of the Oteros, but is not quite sure who of the three it is. Now, their feud will blind them well beyond the core of their blood bond. In these wild lands, it is the rule of heart that is supreme. In wild lands.
Live from Broadcasting House, Nairobi, Kenya. This is KBC English Service.
Welcome to Beat Time Show, the very best of the 80s and 90s. Me, John Korani, JK.
Timeless music hits across the decades.
This is the place to be after you've had a tough day. Join the Sundowner group on Facebook.
Don't believe me, just watch.
The sound of KBC English Service.
I'm your host, Caroline Wangishi, Carol Gatata Moshero.
My name is Geoff from Ongai.
News, information and entertainment. KBC English Service, Kenya's official national radio.
Welcome back. Our socials at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Mboya 24. Now, the National Hospital Insurance Fund, NHIF, is yet again on the spot for irregular appointments of 11 staff members made way back in 2020. Appearing before the National Assembly's Health Committee, NHIF Acting Chief Executive Officer Samson Kuhora was at pains to explain how the said staffers were promoted to management level without the knowledge of the board, and that their payments backdated. As Abdiaziz Hashim reports, members of parliament have also stooped NHIF for procuring a new system that's intended to cost the taxpayer 4.2 billion shillings. They term it a waste of public resources.
The National Hospital Insurance Fund, NHIF, is once again in the eye of a storm, where it has emerged that low-ranked staff were promoted without the knowledge of the board.
This committee chair is in receipt of some irregular appointments which have occurred within the NHIF.
The National Assembly Chair, Robert Pukose, revealed that the 11 staffers were appointed to top management level and their payment backdated at the behest of the taxpayers.
Which would basically mean that the process was fraud.
Now, however, the confirmation of these individuals in some of these positions was done outside the board.
The salaries were backdated from 1st September 2020 to 30th April 2021. And this amount to millions of shillings to these individuals. And this amounts to loss of public funds, which must be surcharged from them.
NHIF Acting CEO Samson Kuhora and NHIF Chairman Michael Kamau stated they are aware of the matter and it is currently before the Human Resource Committee at the fund. NHIF was also faulted for planning to procure a new information system at a cost of 4.2 billion shillings to replace the current one that cost 1.6 billion shillings.
Based on the procurement plan, it's a new ERP system implemented in 4 phases at a total cost of about 4.2 billion shillings.
The MPs have stopped the procurement, terming it as a wastage of public resources.
We will not allow you to spend that money carelessly like that. You've spent already 1.6 billion to procure the system which you have. You want to put that 1.6 aside and spend another 4.2.
Chair, that is noted. We will provide the documents that are available.
Honorable Chair, I get a feeling that this particular NHIF have suppressed the system to allow things to be done manually, and the end result is what we have seen, Chair, the NHIF scandal.
The Watchdog Committee has summoned NHIF ICT Director and Principal Secretary for Information Communication Technology and Digital Economy to expound on the procurement of the new system. This comes as the Health Cabinet Secretary, that is Susan Nakhumicha, has revealed that she will make changes, especially in the top management of the National Hospital Insurance Fund in the coming days. Abdiaziz Hashim from Parliament Buildings, Prime Edition.
Defense Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale says that Kenya has effectively played its role in the pursuit of lasting peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Duale says that a lot more, though, will be achieved with the renewal of the mandate of the East African Community Regional Force and the implementation of the Peace Fund. Edward Kabasa reports.
Defense Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale has wound up his weekend visit to the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, where he's been meeting with Kenyan troops based in the region. On Friday, the Defense Cabinet Secretary and his Congolese counterpart Jean-Pierre Bemba signed 2 agreements on defense cooperation and military training.
We want to commit ourselves on behalf of the government of Kenya and the President of Kenya that we are committed to a peace and stability in the eastern part of Congo.
In this respect, we invite Kenya as a friendly country to sincerely support the Democratic Republic of Congo in the crisis of aggression to which it has fallen victim by the country of Rwanda.
The military training is part of efforts by the Kenya Defense Forces to secure eastern DRC and enhance the capacity of the armed forces of the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
And what we have heard from people who are outside of our circles is that the Kenyan troops are doing extremely well in terms of, projecting the image of the country and being able to implement the mandate for which Kenyans have deployed them here.
Kenyan banks and players in the energy sector are expanding their wings into the DRC, but that venture has been slowed by instability in the east of the country.
So when DRC is peace, Uganda is peace, Kenya is peace, Tanzania, all of us are very peaceful. Kenya will achieve more. Tanzania will achieve more. Uganda will achieve more from a more peaceful, stable region.
The Kenya Defense Forces has already trained some 771 troops in DRC, with 890 more expected to be enrolled into the program in the coming weeks. With the mandate of the East Africa Community Regional Force coming up for review in September, CS Duale stressed the need to build on the successes recorded so far.
We are in the region, we are beneficiaries of peace and stability. So we want to export that to the rest of the world. That's why Kenya, even today, is being called upon to send police officers to Haiti.
For the Congolese, however, the presence of the Kenyan troops presents an opportunity for growth in their military might. The Democratic Republic of Congo believes that with an enhanced military capability, it will be able to deal with external aggression. From Beni in DRC, I am Edward Kabasa.
Now, as Kenya transitions towards the digital highway, concerns abound over the insatiable demand for personal data that has led to selling of information by rogue controllers and processors. To counter this, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner is calling for caution, abundant caution among Kenyans. Before disclosing any personal information, one is required to question what the data will be used for and for how long. Data processors and controllers are also required to ensure compliance so that the data in their possession is not compromised.
Technical questions, and we appreciate them. We reject back.
In its third phase of public engagement forums on data privacy, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner team was in Kitui County. Here, Kenyans raised concerns over how safe their personal data is in view of recent events.
Due to poverty index, I think people are tempted to give their information like the world coin.
When you walk into any building, whether government or private, you leave your ID there, you leave your contacts there. How are you going to ensure these institutions, whether private or public, do not misuse that data?
The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner clarifying that the matter was still under investigation.
Don't give out your personal data, and especially even sensitive personal data, if you do not know what that person that you're giving is going to do with that data. Because when we start our investigations or when we're investigating into complaints, we ask the complainant, ulipeana?
We give out information, and still we even don't lead on terms and conditions. We just click it. We don't know what we have certified those social accounts to use that information for. If you are giving out information, just give the information that is relevant.
The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner reporting that out of the over 3,000 complaints on data breach received so far, 80% involve digital credit providers.
A data subject has the right to have their personal data erased if the personal data is no longer necessary for the purpose which it was originally collected. The second one is if the data subject withdraws their consent.
Last evening I was receiving some greetings from my friend, but on a strange number. But when I look at the photo attached on WhatsApp, it belongs to a friend. I think many of you have received such.
Digital superhighway and creative economy is at core of the government agenda. Therefore, there is need to put in place safeguards that will protect processing of personal data.
In an era where data is considered the new gold, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner is reminding Kenyans that part of their mandate and responsibility is to ensure that their personal data does not end up in the wrong hands. Nancy Okware, reporting for Prime Edition, Kitui County.
Kwa majina naitwa Nick Wenwa, mtaa yangu ni Ngong. Loto nimekuwa nikicheza sasa ni miezi 3, mwakisha at least kwa siku cheza kama mara 2 hivi. Kwa hivyo unaweza wasihi mzidi kucheza na muendelee kucheza hilo Loto Moto, watu wanashinda.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number weka 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa kisha subiri draw.
Got this feeling down deep in my soul that I just can't shit down. And baby, let me show you what I've got in store for me and you. Why do you come here? You know I got trouble enough. Why do you call me when you know I can answer the phone? Make me lie when I don't want to.
But tell me what to do or what to say to make it right. 'Cause I need
Welcome to the business segment. I'm holding down the fort for my colleague Betty Kiptum. Kenya targets to double milk production over the next 5 years to expand opportunities for farmers. President William Ruto says that government is putting in place a solid plan that will see milk production increase from the current 5.2 billion litres to 10 billion litres per year.
Even though milk is one of the highest influences of income in Kenya, generating at least 200 billion shillings annually, farmers do not earn optimally since they sell raw milk. President William Ruto says the government is addressing these by modernizing Kenya Cooperative Creameries plant and installing milk coolers across the country to enhance value addition of milk.
Tumeweka mpango ya milk coolers 650 ambazo tutazileta tuzisambaze katika kila mpango. Nia yetu ni at least tufikishe kila ward milk cooler, ndio tuhakikisha kwamba hasa katika sekta ama sehemu zile tuko na mambo ya maziwa, tunazalisha chakula maziwa ya kutosha.
The president spoke on Tuesday in Kiganjo, Nyeri County, where he commissioned the modernized Kenya Cooperative Creameries Kiganjo factory that is equipped with new product lines to process camel milk and drinking water.
For the next 3 years, we are going to spend 3 billion shillings in the modernization program of our KCC facilities. Tumekubaliana tutakamilisha Kitale. Tutakamilisha tayari katika budget ama supplementary budget tuliyopitisha before this main budget. Tulipatia KCC shilingi milioni 700 so that we can complete the facility in Nyambene.
Meanwhile, the cabinet has vacated an earlier decision to privatize 5 state-owned sugar factories. The cabinet has approved the revival and commercialization of 5 millers, namely Mboya, Chemelil, Miwani, Muhoroni, and South Nyanza sugar companies. If the proposal by cabinet received parliamentary approval, the 5 state-owned millers would be operated under a lease and operate framework. Edna Murungi for Prime Edition.
Well, universities should utilize the resources in their possession, such as land, faculty, and research and development, to make money, as traditional revenue streams of school fees is inadequate. This is according to former Kenyatta University Vice Chancellor Professor Olive Mugenda, who says that varsities should keep attracting students through competitive courses and also good and solid faculties.
Universities have come under pressure from increased cost of operation and reducing revenue streams as more and more universities set up in the country. With most universities relying on school fees, the institutions of higher learning are being challenged to explore other revenue streams.
We must take the fundraising strategies as private universities very seriously. If you think about some of the private universities, not just in Kenya but outside, they actually don't get any funding from government, but they are able to sustain. So that will be the question: how do we sustain ourselves? And mainly it's through fees. We can't deny that the more students you have, of course, the more income you have.
Professor Okeo says partnerships with industries, research grants, private donations, and endowments are also revenue options.
There is need to acquire more resources, and there is need to adapt to the new environment, which the changes in education policy, changes in finance policy, changes in a lot of other policies of government bring along, particularly that are going to affect our educational institutions.
Most public universities rely on funding from the government, which has been said to be inadequate to meet the evolving needs. Frederick Moki for Prime Edition.
Government has called on professional training and examining institutions to certify more quality assurance professionals in diverse industries who will assess products destined for the global market. Permanent Secretary for Industrialization in the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Dr. Juma Mokwana, says that this will improve the country's manufacturing, ranking, and also eventually reduce the imperfections, such as those witnessed in food and construction industries.
According to the Kenya Demographic Survey of 2022 published by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, legislators, administrators and managers are some of the positions that work without professional certificates in their professions. This, the government says, has reduced standards in the country.
Nearly 80% of the people that were graduating from the TVET sector did not have capacity and ability to do the things that we certified them to do.
Quality assurance, dear friends, is far more than a simple checklist of standards to meet. It's not merely a yardstick we use to measure our performance. Rather, the fundamental pillar that underpins the dynamism and competitiveness of our industry.
A certified quality professional qualification program by the Kenya Bureau of Standards and the Kenya Accountants and Secretaries National Examinations Board is expected to address issues such as collapsed buildings and a repeated detection of contaminated food products in retail markets.
We expect now the quality infrastructure will also have an accountability aspect right from the construction industry. We know what we have been going through.
Currently, quality assurance professionals in government and private sector offices are not certified professionally, despite being academically qualified to carry out duties.
The question is, what professional qualification do they have? Yes, they have gone to school. Either you have done engineering, you have done food science, you have done agribusiness, and then you come to the industry and you are called a quality assurance manager. We felt there is need or there is a gap for a professional competence-based training.
We expect that this course will be administered in December this year, and in the next 2 or 3 years there will be the first graduates of the qualification who will be examined by ourselves, and using the rigor that KASNEB has had for the last 54 years.
KASNEB and KEBS indicate that their collaboration will see the elevation of professional standards, nurturing of innovation, boosting consumer confidence, and driving socio-economic growth in the country.
We can only succeed if we think out of the box. So the many institutions that we are working in and working for, please transform them. Think out of the box. See what else we can do.
The proponents of the certified quality professional program say that this will go industry-wide, including the food sector and even the infrastructure sector. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
Meanwhile, government is encouraging Kenyans to tap affirmative funds whose applications and uptake remains low. MSME's Principal Secretary Susan Mangeni is challenging youth to apply for the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, KITI. Why? To capitalize their business ideas and also to expand existing businesses.
About 2.97 million Kenyans are unemployed, of which 1.59 million are those aged between 20 and 29. In response, the government is calling on the youth to take advantage of government initiatives such as the Youth Enterprise Development Fund to capitalize their innovative ideas or grow existing business ventures.
The civil service, where it is today, cannot create any job. There is no room for expansion. There's no job in the civil service. So where we are going to create jobs is in the private sector. And how we are going to create jobs is through enterprises.
Mangeni says the youth fund will be included under the Hustler Fund platform, where successful applicants will be determined based on their credit score without the requirement of collateral in efforts to reduce barriers to credit access.
The more you borrow and you repay regularly, you're building your positive credit score that can give you an access to financing, even to commercial banks. Because if you can be trusted with the lower limits amount, you can equally be trusted with the higher limits amount. It's the question of building trust and introducing a new collateral system that will be focused around your credit score.
They spoke during the disbursement of 30 million shillings worth of Youth Enterprise Development Fund checks to successful applicants, where through the program, beneficiaries are offered financial support and mentorship to facilitate them to kickstart or expand their businesses.
We are focusing on ensuring that the message goes to as many youths as possible in Kenya through our officers, not just by them sitting at the office, but also to look what are some of these opportunities the youths can get and where our clientele are.
Trevor Ngindo for Prime Edition.
나 경력 단절돼서 처음부터 다시 시작해야 되는데 애 딸린 아줌마라고 다들 싫대. 나 진짜 일 잘하던 여자였는데. 많이 놀라셨죠?
전혀요.
그래서 그렇게 들어오셨구나.
누가 누웠다고?
She hasn't just taken this title, she's absolutely obliterated the whole field. 3:52.96.
It's a big stage, big names and big expectations. An immersive celebration of athleticism. More than 2,000 athletes from over 200 countries will compete in 49 events. Drawing inspiration from past memorable outings, Team Kenya is looking ahead for a remarkable feat in the forthcoming World Athletics Championship in Budapest, Hungary, in Central Europe. Witness the wonders from Budapest, Hungary on 19th through to the 27th of August, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sport. Former champions St. Anthony's Boys High School from Rift Valley thumped a hapless Matiliku Secondary School by 8-0 as this year's national Term 2 ball games kicked off in Kakamega County. Shanderema Boys Secondary School also had a good day in the field as they hit 8 past Northeastern representatives Harar Secondary School. Achola Simon has pitched camp in Kakamega and has the details.
Star player Aldrin Kibet of St. Anthony's Boys High School notched a hat-trick as he helped his side hit 8 past hapless Matiliku boys from Eastern Region in the opening day of this year's National Term 2 ball games. St. Anthony's ran rings around Matiliku defense at will, with Kibet and Alvin Kasavuli doing the damage. Other scorers for St. Anthony's were Stanley Waswa, who scored 2 goals, and David Wekesa and Gregory Agesa, who notched a goal each in the opening Pool B game.
Hapa kusema kweli kila mtu amekuja kama bingwa. Huwezi sema kwamba eti hapa kuna mpinzani mahususi. Hapa kila mtu ametokea kwenye jimbo lake kama mshindi. Na sisi kila mechi tunachukulia kama finali. Kwa hivyo tutakuwa tukienda hivyo.
Western Region representative Shanderema Boys High School also had a good day in the field as they matched St. Anthony's in every stride by hitting 8 past 4 Harar High School from Northeastern Region. Nairobi representative Dagoretti Boys High School pipped Coastal representative Serani Boys by a solitary goal, while Nyanza representative Agoro Sare edged Kirangari Boys from Central by 2-1. In women football, defending champions Villeta edged St. Mary's Dwarf Girls in a hard-fought 2-1. Butere Girls fought to a 1-all draw against Dagoretti, while Madeira thumped Mbitini by 7-0. In volleyball girls, Mwitoti from Western Region edged Nyakach Girls from Nyanza by 3-0, while Kwanzanze also dispatched Viambani by similar sets. Kesagon beat Karima from Central by 3-0. The game continues tomorrow. Achola Simon, Channel 1 Sports, Kakamega County.
Thank you, Chola. Now, Team Kenya started off their athletics campaign at the ongoing Commonwealth Youth Games in Trinidad and Tobago on a high as 4 Kenyan athletes booked their slots in the 1,500-meter finals. The Kenyan quartet of Joseph Atsang, Andrew Kipto, Janet Chepkoech and Nancy Cherop won their respective heats to qualify for the finals that are taking place tonight.
Kenyan Janet Chepkoech completed dominated heat 1 of the women's 1500 meters. Her compatriot Nancy Cherop followed with a win in a similar fashion in the second heat. In the men's category, Josephat Sang and Andrew Kipto easily won their respective heats to book slots in the finals.
Sijaona challenge mingi sana, lakini choto temperature huko iko juu. Lakini naona time inaingia peke yake.
Angawaje ilikuwa jua sana, lakini tulivumilia. Mazoezi tunapata iko sawa.
Unajua, wakati tulipokuwa tukienda Karura nilikuwa natafuta ile hewa nzuri, kwa sababu hapa mahali kuna joto utajua ya kwamba ukitrain high altitude alafu kuja pande hii utakuwa umeaccumulate ile tunasema red hemoglobin ambao inasaidia kuweka oxygen. Hata kama utakuwa area ambao kuna joto, vijana walijiandaa vilivyo.
Cyclists Daniel Kiptala and Billy Graham put in a spirited fight in the road race, which saw them finish 14th and 15th respectively. In Tobago, the girls rugby team registered a second win after seeing off Trinidad and Tobago 49-0 before falling 45-0 to Australia.
Well, and the Kenyan team at the moment is playing in the bronze medal match of girls rugby. Now, moving on is that the Kenya deaf swimming team head coach Irene Kerubo is confident Team Kenya will perform well in the upcoming 6th World Deaf Swimming Championships in Argentina. The team is currently training at the Kasarani Stadium ahead of the global assignment.
14 swimmers are currently training at Kasarani Stadium under the watchful eye of Coach Irene Kerubo before leaving for Argentina on 11th of this month. Kerubo says the team is well prepared for the championship and are eyeing to bag medals for Kenya.
Sincerely, tumefanya a lot because we have even polished the FINA rules, how to start. We are also polished for the time, the standard time for fishing time for Argentina, because nilikuwa naangalia everyone is supposed to meet the time. So to train according to their strokes. Kila mtu alikuwa na stroke yake.
Joyce Wamba and Ali Hamidea are upbeat as they target a good outing in 100 meters freestyle and 100 meters backstroke respectively in the 6th World Deaf Swimming Championship in Argentina.
I feel that teams they can't join the training. They have not lacked any training time. They have done all their best. We compare joining the other team from Lame and from Kwale. I feel good that till the time is joined Kwale with the other team from Kwale, Nairobi and Lame. They have done all their best to active. This time is 1.1 minute, 27 seconds. And it motivates them to improve on that.
The team is expected to leave the country on 11th of this month. For Prime Edition, I'm Sela Onyango.
And so that's the sport for tonight. Join us for more tomorrow evening. And remember, coming up next is our documentary on the security operations outcome. And coming up later, it's a conversation on the scorecard. O'Brien Kimani and Marie Yambo talking about data protection. Join us after the security operations outcome documentary. Have a good evening. My name is Daniel Wahome.
Daniel Wahome, thank you for that update. Of course, scorecard, as Daniel mentioned, is coming up in just a bit, and many questions we expect that O'Brien will pose to the panelists. Should we question what data is being used on us? How long is that data going to be used for, and so on? So many questions coming up shortly, but I want to thank you on behalf of the entire Prime Edition team for watching, including our sign language interpreter, the ever-smiling Susan Thuku. My name is Mboya. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya.
Kerio Valley region has been in the news for a long time over intermittent attacks occasioned by banditry and cattle rustling incidents. The region is characterized by stock thefts and massacres of innocent people, including women and children. However, calm is slowly returning to the Kerio Valley of Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, Turkana, Samburu, West Pokot and Laikipia counties following a multi-agency security approach in the fight against banditry and cattle rustling incidents. The Kerio Valley has for a long time not experienced peace due to armed conflicts caused by cattle rustling and banditry attacks that have claimed many human lives and displacement of family.
Mambo ilikuwa mbaya kwa sababu Bogoto makuja ng'ang'ana na mbuzi yetu anachukua sisi nataraga huko juu anawajwa hapo.
But calm is returning to the area following the launch of multi-agency operations involving the police and military against criminals behind the attacks and recovery of illegal weapons. The measures being undertaken by the government have contributed to restoration of peace in the region as the displaced families return to their homes to once again engage in socio-economic activities.
Shamba yangu yote nilima vile hii maneno ya pita liregea kidogo vile tulipata President Mboya. Sasa akasaidia sisi mpaka akapatia sisi KDF tukapata hawa akakuja elekea huku pande yote mpaka Bogoto mpaka saa hii tuko sawa. Saa hii hata tukienda Kerio hivi tunasalamia nao Bogoto, hakuna wasiwasi. Hatuna hata kitu ya kusema wewe hivi na hivi. Saa hii tunaamua tu hata ng'ombe yetu akienda hivi tunaenda kunywa maji na hawa. Hatuna rudi yetu. Hawa wanakunywa hawa alafu wanaenda.
Guns have seemingly gone silent in the region, thanks to the ongoing security operation by the multi-agency security teams. The military intervention to complement police efforts in the fight against bandits who have caused mayhem and loss of property in the region is yielding fruits.
Wakati hao maofficers wa KDF walifika, saa hii tunaishi kwa amani. Kuna wamama wanakuja kupata services kwa dispensary.
Wapokoti ndio walikuwa wakitusumbua sisi. Hawa ndio walikuwa wanakuja kutukoroga kwa huku. Lakini wakati operation ilikuja, sasa saa hii watu wameanza kurudi nini? Wamerudi kitambo, wameshaanza kurudi tu nyumbani. Lakini bure walikuwa wanalalanga. Unaweza toroka tu hata unalala msituni, lakini sasa hiyo msituni nayo unalala kwa wasiwasi.
Wamama wanakuja kupata services kwa dispensary wakati tu wowote. Kitambo tu kwa tunafanya kazi usiku. Lakini wakati hao officers walikuja, saa hii tunafanya kazi 24/7. Yaani mtu akikuja usiku unahudumia.
Buberbe kedi yap. Etani abujeke kizengwalike.
Hatukuwa tunatembea tukitoka kwa boma kwenda sehemu hata kujitafutia. Lakini saa hii juzi hao officers wetu zile waliletwa, wameanza kutembea kujitafutia, wameenda kuni, wameenda hata kutafuta makaa, wamefungua hata mifugo yao, at least hata wameanza kulala usingizi.
Etani awaze.
Mama kolongit atay na madanga kipialo tolim kurne amujalo tolim.
President William Ruto had directed Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki to pitch camp in the region until law and order is restored to enable the residents go on with their smooth socio-economic activities.
Nimemwambia Professor Kindiki atoke ofisi Nairobi aende aishi kule North Rift mpaka hiyo mambo ya wananchi kupoteza maisha yao iishe.
The Presidential Communications Service crew visited the region to check on the progress of the ongoing security operations, to weed out the menace that has led to loss of many lives, destroyed education, health, and other aspects of social life. During the tour, what came out strongly is the desire for peace in what is an otherwise productive region. Residents who talked to us expressed their appreciation to President Ruto and his administration for the tireless efforts in the war against the menace.
Kuanzia ile siku President alisema ndaletea amani between Turkana na Pokot. Ameshaleta hiyo amani. Amani tuko naye sasa, hatuna shida yoyote. Hiyo askari alisema ndaleta la miuzi. Ameleta hawa. Tumeona ni afadhali sasa, hata biashara inaendelea mzuri. Usiku tunalala mzuri. Biashara iko, hakuna wasiwasi, si kama kitambo tulikuwa na stress ya amani, lakini sasa amani imekuwa. Na hiyo askari wameleta.
Hapo nyuma kidogo ilikuwa masaa ikifika kama saa hii hamna uwezo na mtu mwenye bado yuko nje. So ikifika saa 10, saa 11 watu wanapotea. Sasa unaona saa hii mpaka usiku watu wanaendelea na kazi mpaka so inaonyesha kuna amani.
Kuanzia saa hii kwenda mbele tutafaidika na tutakuwa na mpango mwema mbeleni. Hata mashule hapa tutafungua mingi, makanisa na watu watakuwa free. Hakuna challenges yote tutapata.
We arrived at Kapedo Trading Center, Aboda, which was notorious as conduit for cattle rustlers and bandits who passed through the area for raid missions in Turkana and Baringo. Normalcy had returned to the area and residents were going on with their trading activities.
Kitambo hatungefungua biashara. Tulikuwa tunafungua saa 5, saa 6 na hakuna kazi, hakuna wateja. At least sasa hivi kuna security, sisi tunaweza fanya kazi. Naweza tuma vitu, askari wanatuletea mzigo. So sasa hivi biashara si mbaya.
Tumefungua biashara hii ni ku retain tu mtoto asiende kwa duka ya mtu. Ni kujisaidia tu nayo, lakini biashara haijarudi vile ilikuwa inatakana.
The military is also rehabilitating schools which were abandoned because of insecurity in the region. Rehabilitation works at the Kapedo Mixed Secondary School in Turkana, as well as Chesitet Primary School in Tiati, Baringo County, by the military were almost complete.
Kapedo Mixed Secondary School is a victim of banditry. I can recall in the past we've lost students through banditry attacks. We've also experienced vandalism of the school facilities by the bandits. Our perimeter wall has been vandalized twice. But after the deployment of the KDF and the GSU and the RDU officers of Kapedo, the situation actually has improved. Our population is also growing. After the parents had withdrawn their children because of the killings that they were experienced here. Now the parents are now beginning to bring their children back to school. And we are hopeful in the next few years we are going to have a high enrollment. Secondly, I also want to thank the government for the project renovation works that are being done by the KDF. it is actually a plus to us. If you can see, if you can consider the situation of our facilities that we have, we were really doing badly in terms of infrastructure. The dormitories are in bad condition, the bathrooms, the classes. But we thank the government for the effort they are doing in ensuring that these facilities are renovated and being improved to modern ones.
The school was burnt, our solars were vandalized, our computers were destroyed and were taken away. So the community have been fearing again to return the children. But finally, when KDF came, really felt that these guys are more than a brother. These guys became really, even they were feeding the school. They built us the teachers' quarters that were completed the other day when CS for Defense came. So when the KDF team came, we really feel, even our officers were not visiting this place. Even our CSOs, those who are coming to assess what the teachers are doing and the progress of the learning, they have never come to this place. But actually when the KDF came, that is the time, all the offices, even the DCC, have been coming to assess the school, to assess the learning. So it's because of the security that were provided by the KDF.
Mr. Joseph Lareng, a resident of Chemolingot, said Pokots were now ready to make peace with their Turkana, Tugen and Marakwet neighbors for the sake of peace and development.
Tuwe pamoja na mtoto ambaye yuko kando hiyo wakuje shule. Ametutengenezea shule na tunasema ni mzuri na tutaleta sasa wote.
Hii sehemu imebaki nyuma. Hata tukitafuta miradi ya maji ya barabara, contractors wanapigwa, wengine wanapigwa na risasi na majangili na wezi. Mimi nataka niwahakikishie hivi wenzangu, hawa wakora ambao kwa muda mrefu wametuumiza, wamesababisha maafa, hawa wakora tutawaangamiza. We will defeat these criminals.
Tunaweka pesa kando ya budget kujenga mabarabara katika hii dunia yote. Tunaweka pesa ya kulete dams, maji kila mahali, kujenga boreholes na kutengeneza, hata kutengeneza mahali ya afya ya wamama kujifungua.
Baragoi residents noted that the Special Operation Group stationed in the area have done a commendable job in dealing with criminal elements operating in the area.
Kama ukweli, wasama hiyo baina ya Turkana na Samburu imetulia kabisa tangu tupate hii serikali mpya, na wakizidisha kukaza kamba kila pahali ya security, basi hiyo amani itaendelea kwa muda mrefu. Najua
naitwa Rose Loli. Amekuwa tu kidogo nimelala usiku. Salama kabisa. Salamia yeye ndio yeye watu wa Baragoi anasema leta amani nyingine, ongeza tena. Ongeza maranzazi yetu ya kweli. Tulale amani, wakati uko na njaa, unalala hakuna kitu anakuja kugusa milango. Hivyo.
Nimekuja hapa hasa kwa sababu ya biashara. Zamani nilikuwa nastuka sana. Na biashara yetu ilikuwa imerudi chini sana kwa sababu ya uoga kwa maneno ya vita. Saa hii mimi naweza kufungua nyumba yangu mpaka saa 11, naweza enda mpaka saa 2. Stima imerudi, maji imerudi. Sisi tunashukuru serikali sababu mimi nikiangalia maneno ya mwisho mwaka uliopita na saa hii iko tofauti sana.
When I came here, the level of insecurity was very high.
to an extent that nobody can walk from town to school or even use a motorbike. So we used to ferry teachers and their school employees from town and back to town. But now when the government restored the security, so the team which came here, it was a no-nonsense team. They never compromised anything concerning. They made a warning to the residents of Baragoi. They don't want to hear a bullet 30 kilometers away from town, the radius of 30 kilometers. The number of enrollment of students in school have increased since then.
He said having been in loggerheads for a long time, members of Turkana and Samburu now desire peace.
As a result of that, everything has become calm. The Samburus, the Turkana, who are the Orient community, are just racing their livestock around the school compound. And they are relaxed. In fact, these people know one another and they understand both languages. They can speak Kisamburu fluently if you are Turkana, and the Turkana can speak Kisamburu fluently. But now, when the government restored the security, it's like a relief for them. They used to be friends, but they are fighting. But they decided now to restore their friendship.